Bank of Africa, as strong as as close as a partner.
Where Duraplast goes, water flows.
Star Assurance, your solid partner.
Ghana's most useful app. Hubcell is everything you.
Visit the St. Thomas Eye Hospital and...
Oh, Charlie, close the window small. Your room be too bright, oh.
Why, you be vampire where you know they like sunlight?
Oh, my guy, my eyes. Behind the PC problem.
Oh.
In the sun problem. Common light bulb stuff.
This no matter. I beg, go Robert and Sons.
The magic team, I know correct. With Robert and Sons, something about sharp.
Now, so stylish frames in the rock.
We go Robert and Sons, right?
Office of the Special Prosecutor.
Why, you be vampire?
Has since 2022 been investigating matters regarding corruption in the Galamsey situation. This morning, we have an exclusive with the Special Prosecutor on its Galamsey corruption investigations. But you definitely know that one question is most important. What is the crime of Professor Frimpong Boateng, who, as you find in the news, has been arrested by the Special Prosecutor, and many of you are angry, reasonably so, that he was not even entitled to self-recognizance bail. Something that is extended to many politicians, some with very dubious character. Is that the situation? Is he a subject of witch hunts, and is the Special Prosecutor simply a tool in the hand of the government? The Special Prosecutor, the OSP, the office that until recently its officers had not been paid for over a year. Don't go anywhere. The NDC has some claims that the EC has attempted or is attempting to cheat fraudulently in the Asin North by-election. It accuses both the EC and the NPP. We will subject their accusations to scrutiny. Is it a case of false alarm? And the World Bank identifies energy sector debts as a major contributor to Ghana's historic unsustainable debt situation, leading to worsening economic circumstances. The take or pay power contracts, they took us out of Dumsor, but there is now $1.58 billion debt that have been incurred. Ghana has been at the IMF for $3 billion. Are the fears of potential return to Dumsor, the dreaded Dumsor, which collapsed businesses and actually led to loss of lives? Are these fears genuine? I'm Samson Ladianyanini. This is your most authoritative news analysis platform. We'll be right back to deal with the vexed matters.
It's
You're welcome. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, as always, we put Ghana first. Now, if you go to the Office of Special Prosecutor website, you will see a number of press statements and reports that have been issued. One of the statements reads illegal mining. That's the heading. And it's dated Monday, 10th October 2022. It says the Office of the Special Prosecutor has commenced an investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of illegal small-scale mining. The investigations target some officials of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and the Forestry Commission. It also targets the activities and expenditure of the dissolved Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, especially in respect of the seizure and management of excavators, machinery, road vehicles, and gold nuggets. The investigation includes the active and ongoing inquiry into allegations of use of public office for profit against Charles Bisu during his tenure as secretary to the committee, arising from an investigative documentary titled Galamsey Fraud, Part 1, published by Tiger Eye PI. The investigation further targets the activities of Akonta Mining Limited and other companies, nationals of foreign countries, allegedly involved in illegal mining and allegations of corruption and corruption-related offenses against some municipal and district chief executives and political party officials. Signed, Kisi Ejabeng, Special Prosecutor, 10th October 2022. Now, shortly, I'll read yet another statement that references this statement, which was issued this year. But the man under whose hand these statements were issued is right here in the studio. Mr. Kisi Ejabeng, we are privileged to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Now, as you know, Kisi Ejabeng spent decades, over a decade or so, doing his work as a lawyer and having, a special focus on criminal law. He also had been teaching at the University of Ghana Law School for many years in that area. He's co-authored, a book and has been acknowledged as someone who knows what he is about when it comes to this area. This morning, he will answer all of your questions about the developments in connection with investigations by his office in corruption-related matters as far as Galamsey is concerned, and the thorny issue, the issue that is almost dividing this country as far as Professor Frimpong Boateng's arrest is concerned.
At sea and on land, we have eyes everywhere. We see it all. When you're involved in corruption and think you're hiding, we will get you. Welcome back.
My next read is also on the OSP website. Illegal mining updates, dated Tuesday, the 2nd of May, 2023. And it says, on October 10, 2022, the Office of the Special Prosecutor published that it had commenced investigations into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of illegal mining. It was stated that the investigation targeted the activities and expenditure of the dissolved Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, especially in respect of the seizure and management of excavators, machinery, road vehicles, and gold nuggets, and officials of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the Forestry Commission, and other public officials and private persons. The OSP acknowledges the recent calls for action and investigations into these matters by the public and civil society following the publication of a report on parts of these matters authored by a former Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation and head of the dissolved committee. The OSP welcomes the calls for action and investigations, and it assures the public and civil society that its investigation is ongoing and far-reaching, and it also covers the matters raised in the report published by the head of the dissolved committee. The OSP will take necessary action against all persons deemed culpable of corruption and corruption-related offenses in the mining sector. Signed, Kisei Jabing, Special Prosecutor, May 2, 2023. So, how far has this investigation gone?
Exactly what it says in the second publication. See, it is very far-reaching, as I keep saying, and it has engulfed us as a nation. And so we are leaving no stones unturned. Our gloves are off, and we are coming against everyone and every person who we think should be dragged in before us. Every person.
Everyone and every person.
Yes.
Who are the persons that have so far appeared before you as far as these matters are concerned?
You know, Samson, this is very dicey because it's a live investigation. It is still ongoing, and sometimes, depending on what you put out in public, you might jeopardize the nature of the investigation. For instance, if I say I have directed you to appear before the OSP, then someone who is your associate may be thinking, no, they are next. Okay. Yeah, and so because of that, I wouldn't want to go into detail. But several persons have appeared before us already, and many more persons are going to appear before us. See, you know very well that this issue is very dear to the nation. And if people were paying attention, and I'm very glad that you read our publications, way back in October last year, we made an announcement that we had commenced the investigation. Maybe people didn't take notice, or maybe people didn't take it serious, but we are fighting this, and we are going to see to the end of it.
So, perhaps no names, and we know some of the names, and we'll be sharing them in the course of these discussions, about how many people have been investigated or are being investigated, about how many more, as you said, many more people will appear before you. About how many more do you expect you will be talking to?
Once again, I can't give you a composite number, but it is a lot of people. I mean, you're talking about Galamsey. It is all over the country. So many people are involved in it. And we are looking at the corruption and corruption-related aspects of it. You know, it's not, our mandate is not at large. Our mandate is in respect of corruption and corruption-related issues. So, as for the number of people, they may run even into the hundreds. And as I said, every single person is going to appear before us.
The numbers may run into the hundreds, but so far, about how many have you engaged?
Let me say tens.
Tens?
I'm intentionally being that way. Let me say tens. That's to tell you that several people have come since October last year. Since October last year. And some even come on their own accord, without even being directed to show up. They show up because maybe they think that For instance, they could be used as whistleblowers, or they could be used as confidential sources. But some show up without even being directed to come.
There's one of such situations that's already public. We knew of one situation that Kontamani, they decided to come without you being inviting them or directing, as it were, for them to appear. And I thought the impression was that since you had not invited them, you turned them away.
No. No one is turned away. I mean, you see, it will be responsible to turn someone away. You may never know the information that the person has. And at the end of the day, you would have to then analyze things and weigh things and examine things as to the veracity of it and the probability value of it and all that. And then what to use the information for, and how to treat the person who is bringing the information. So it's a whole gamut of investigations, and you don't have to cover things.
Can you explain to my viewers and listeners what you mean by you are only investigating an aspect and not the entire gamut of it? You are only investigating corruption and corruption-related offenses.
It is our mandate. We are a creature of law. The law created us, and the law gave us our powers and what we can do. The law says our mandate is in respect of corruption and corruption-related activities and offenses. And so, for instance, I cannot come after you if it is stealing. I cannot come after you if it is murder. You get it? Yeah. I cannot come after you if you were supposed to be granted a license, you didn't get a license, but then you went into the forest to do something. I'm looking at how you entered the forest and if there are any corruption-related activities which engineered your going into the forest. That is the aspect that the OSP looks at. Otherwise, we will be going over our mandate.
So if an individual, a company entered a particular forest or land illegally, that will not be your mandate.
Our mandate will not be the illegality of his entry into the forest. Our mandate will be who allowed him to enter the forest, who was aware of this entry into the forest. How is it that a public institution or a state agency whose duty it is to ensure that people do not enter certain forests sat back for someone to enter the forest? Did money change hands? Was there some collusion? These are the things that we look at. So if we come to the conclusion that, or if our intel investigation tells us that someone was sleeping on the job, what caused the person to sleep on the job to allow this person to enter the forest? Maybe if it is willful sleeping. I saw you in there. I shut an eye as if I was asleep because maybe you have grazed my palm to sleep. These are the things we look at. Corruption and corruption-related activities. Otherwise, I will be accused, and you will not hesitate to accuse me of overreaching. Yeah, so we stick to our mandate within the law.
Right. You mentioned specific issues of the activities and expenditure of the dissolved Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, especially in respect of seizure and management of excavators. We heard about some 500 excavators had been seized and somehow they went missing. Many Ghanaians have been really shocked at how such a miracle happens. Machinery, road vehicles, gold nuggets, and officials of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Forestry, and other public officials. Break down the extent of this to us. Let's understand. When you say excavators and their management, their seizure, vehicles, gold nuggets, what does that mean?
You see, there's a history to this. We all know, once again, how this Galamsey issue has been such a menace and such a pain to us, and we want it resolved. And we all know that at some point, the sitting president set up a committee to deal with this thing, which was called the Inter-Ministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining. Now, we all also know that at some point, due to the problems associated with it, it was disbanded, it was dissolved.
That's right.
So the problems were still live and all over the place. Now, in our case, there's been allegations against these officers who sat at the Inter-Ministerial Committee. The head of the committee, the secretary to the committee, and other officers. And then the dealings of the committee were interfacing with those who were accused of being in the business of or the adventure of illegal mining. And so this is the point we are coming from. Now, if the accusations against you that you seized excavators and you are unable to account for it, I won't sleep over it. I'll come after you. Now, if there are allegations against you that you seized gold nuggets belonging to someone, and as a public officer you pocketed it, I won't sleep over it. I'm coming after you. The allegations that you mismanaged the resources of the committee, I won't sleep over it. I'll come after you. At the end of the day, if I weigh the evidence against you and I come to the conclusion that there's nothing to it, then I let go. But in the middle of the investigation, in the course of the investigation, I treat everyone the same. Mind you, at the office of the special prosecutor, we do not consecrate saints. And let me make this very clear. No one is a saint to us. No one is an angel as far as we are concerned. When we start investigating a case, we're looking at everybody and everywhere. Now, you personally, as a member of the public, you may have your favorites. You may have those you think are so good and so consecrated saints that they become almost untouchable as far as you are concerned. I wish I were you to also have the luxury to consecrate someone or some persons as saints, in respect of which nothing should be done to them. But where I sit, I do not have that luxury to treat people as saints. And when saints are being consecrated, I don't get the memo. I am the conscience of the nation. I am the spirit of the nation. And the office is the conscience of the nation. The office is the spirit of the nation. Where we sit, we look at everybody in the same manner. And so when you appear before us, the nature of how you come to us is very crucial and is very, very important. And I'm saying, if you are my confidential source, if you are my whistleblower, there's a way I will contact you. There's a way I will invite you. There's a way I'll talk to you, because I need information from you. But if you are appearing before me as a suspect, there is also a way. I do not invite you. I direct you to show up, because it is a criminal investigation. You are directed to show up. And in the direction to show up, you are specifically told what we are investigating and the subject matter of what we are investigating. And then, in the direction for you to come, we tell you that you are a person who is considered necessary for the investigation. And there's a specific direction for you to show up at a specific address for the interview. Then, you are told of your right. That you, when you're coming, you may come with the counsel of your choice. Now, if I see you as a whistleblower, I consider you as a confidential source. I will not be telling you that when you are appearing before me, come with your lawyer. Why would you need a lawyer if you are coming to divulge some information which I may be interested in? But immediately I tell you that you are directed to show up and that come with a lawyer, then you should know that you're a suspect. And that is what goes for everyone who appears before us in that scheme of affairs. Now, back to the specific question of illegal mining. There's so many aspects to it. Accusations, counter-accusations, all over the place. Now, are we saying that I should take Mr. A and strike him off and not ask him questions because some people consider Mr. A as a consecrated saint? I cannot do that.
So you say you speak to these classes of people and so on. So, for example, when you mention gold nuggets, if the ministerial committee that was responsible for clamping down on illegal mining does not make a report that the task force has seized gold nuggets and it cannot find it, how do you get in there? Who is complaining to you that gold nuggets have been seized, for which you go in, zero in on such an activity?
You see, in our setup, we shouldn't be confused with some existing institutions. The OSP is the first of its kind. We have never had an institution like the OSP in our history. Its powers are far-reaching and very biting indeed. And sometimes I have to restrain myself in order not to show my hand.
And that's deliberate for a purpose.
Yes, in order
we have
not
all come to a conclusion that the Attorney General, because it's a political office, cannot prosecute his own, and so on and so forth. I have personally spoken to former Attorney General who tell me that you can't say that I should prosecute my colleague that I sit in cabinet with. It won't happen.
Yes.
So we decide that we need a special prosecutor who has the independence, particularly of the tenure of office, so that nobody can remove you at their whim. So that's why you are there.
Yes.
Very special.
Yes. And you see, it dovetails into what I'm saying. It is a very unique institution with powers that people are now trying to understand. On so many occasions, people don't take their time to understand. You may have your opinion, you may talk about me, you may cast all manner of aspersions and vituperations at me. There are some in the system who have not been to law school before, but they think they know law better than law professors and Supreme Court judges. But that is aside. The thing with us, as I said, people should not confuse us with some existing institutions. We do not need specific complainants. Specific answer to your question. We do not need any specific complainants to move. Indeed, the law even says that just a newspaper publication, just an article someone put somewhere, just a suggestion someone may even put on Facebook or Twitter or something, should trigger our minds to start looking for things, to start investigating things. So, where we sit, we do not need someone to specifically come to us complaining that this person sees my gold nugget and I can't find it. And newspaper publications all over the place, all over the years. And so we cannot be irresponsible and sit back without going after these things. Now, if the president establishes an interministerial committee, later on the president dissolves it, and there are all manner of allegations against this committee, this dissolved committee, we are already doing our investigations in respect of corruption and corruption-related matters regarding Galamsey. And then, an aspect of it, as you read from my publication way back in October 2022, an aspect of this was the way this committee was handled and why it was dissolved, and the problems associated with this committee. Once again, I'll reiterate, every person who was an officer of this committee is my target. Because the allegations against this committee. And so, you do not cloak yourself with immunity, as far as I'm concerned, because someone puts out a report. That report comes to my attention. It is part of my investigation. But merely because someone puts out a report doesn't mean the person is then insulated from the process of the investigation. Now, at the end of the day, as I keep saying, I will then decide who to use as what. If at the end of the investigation I decide that Samson, we should use Samson as, we decide that maybe we have to prosecute some people. And then I will decide the way this investigation went and the way the information came to us, let's use Samson as a prosecution witness. And we would approach you and see if we could use you as a prosecution witness. Or not necessarily because we think you haven't committed anything, but we think that maybe you are a smaller fish to catch a bigger fish. But in the middle of the investigation, when the investigation is so live and ongoing, everyone is fair game for us.
Right. In respect of that, actually, your provision on plea bargain actually gives you a lot of room to decide that somebody may be guilty, but they may be the better option to use to get better results than prosecuting them.
Right.
So you are targeting everyone who was a member of this committee and the people they would have worked with.
Yes.
In the public, when you talk about excavators, we know the issue of excavators that went missing was big. Now, we know there was one individual who was appointed to ferry the excavators from wherever they were found to a central point. We know there was an individual who allegedly gave out a statement, confessed statement, saying that he was receiving the monies and lodging them in bank accounts. So can we say that these people have also been investigated or are being investigated by you?
Samson, I'll repeat again. I said every one of those persons are suspects as far as we are concerned.
They have been arrested, they've been granted bail?
See, I told you that the numbers may run in the hundreds. I said that a few minutes ago. The numbers may run in the hundreds, and so far, those who have come before us are in the tens. So it is a list of people who are going to come one after the other. And you keep talking about arrest. Maybe I should go there. You keep talking about arrest. See, once again, the process is with us. We have full police powers. And people should notice this. Once again, I keep saying that as I withhold my hand so as not to be too biting. You see, sometimes you need information. And if you go too much of a Rambo style, you are not going to get the information that you want. And then again, which is much more important than even considerations of going Rambo style, is that when you're investigating people for corruption and corruption-related matters, their reputations are at stake.
That's correct.
And this is very vital. If you do not take it, you will stigmatize people unfairly. And so, check our record. Unless you give us a cause, a real cause, we won't even publish it out there that we directed you to show up at our end, unless you give us real cause. And when we direct you to come, and you come willingly, we do not publish anything about it, that this person showed up, this person hasn't showed up, we do not do that. But of course, if you give us the cause, if you give us reasonable cause, we will come after you. So, now when we direct you, and you come before us, depending on the nature of the direction, that's what I was trying to explain. Depending on the nature of how we ask you to come, you should know that if you're directed to show up and then you are also told that you should come along with a lawyer of your choice, you are a suspect. And when you come and we interview you, we may ask you to write a statement or not. Now we may ask you to write an ordinary statement. If you're writing an ordinary statement, then it means that at that stage we are still considering whether indeed you are in the big leagues, or we should treat you as maybe we have invited you as a suspect. But in the course of the interrogation, the course of the interview, we may weigh and come to the conclusion at the end that no, this person, let's take an ordinary statement from him and let's see how things go from there. Maybe it can become a confidential source or some form of a whistleblower. But at the end of the day's interview, if we ask you to write a caution statement, or we go beyond to ask you to write and we take a charge statement from you, automatically you will need bail. These are the processes.
Right.
These are the regular administrative processes we follow through. As I said, mind you, we have full police powers. So just imagine going to a police station and being quizzed, and then you being requested to post bail. It is not out of the ordinary.
We will shortly go into the matters specific regarding Professor Frimpong Boateng, and I suppose that as you listen to the Special Prosecutor Kese Jabing, you may be getting some explanations to how he may have been dealt with and your concerns about how he was dealt with already. But we'll put those questions specific to him. Now, when I mention excavators, because excavators became a very big issue in this country, and there were people known, including party executives of the NPP, who were at the front. Can you confirm to Ghanaians that those who were accused in respect of the missing excavators, you have dealt with them or you are dealing with them?
You are making me repeat myself. I'm saying that every single person, some have come, some we are after. I said, okay, you see, the problem here is that it is a live investigation, and that is why I'm being a little closed up with stating names.
We know
like
some that's already in the public domain.
that's why I do not want to state names.
Ekwewusi is a regional party chairman, who was at the center of the missing excavators issue. Has the special prosecutor dealt with him in any way?
Oh yes. See,
you have.
If person who is complaining now as being victimized hadn't come out himself to say he was being victimized, you wouldn't have known that he had come to us, right? And because the person who is complaining now specifically chose to go to the media and say this and that and that and that, it is when we haven't actually put out anything about anybody. And once again, as I keep telling you, that people's reputations are at stake. If you should take care not to stigmatize people unnecessarily. When we get to a certain threshold and we are ready to come out with our investigation report and the consequential actions we will take further, then names will be mentioned.
You are many bound by law to furnish us that information at a certain time.
So far, I think we've published two investigation reports. At the end of the day, names were mentioned. At the end of the day, the special prosecutor gave further directives. This should be done, this should be done, this should be done, that should be done. We haven't gotten to that stage yet with respect to this investigation. That is why I am not giving out names. You see, so if those who have appeared before us, like the man who's complaining, start talking about they appeared before us, then you will know the kind of people who have appeared before us. And those who are in line to appear before us, mind you, I said, a number in the hundreds.
Right. So without mentioning names once again, about how many of these people who have appeared before you would have been arrested, so to speak, and are on bail?
Once again, let's go back to our processes. When you come in, and then at the end of the interview for that day, you give us cause that, we were right in our estimation that we should treat you as a suspect and that we should caution you or charge you. We will do so. And as I said, automatically then you have to post bail. Everybody knows this. Every lawyer knows this. You have to post bail. And if you're posting bail, it means that automatically you are in the pot, in the process. You get it? Yeah. And so it is not a question of as if it is being made to sound as if someone stormed someone's premises and uprooted them from somewhere a few days.
So there are many of those involved in this investigation who have been, quote unquote, arrested, who have been treated as suspects, who have been cautioned and are on bail.
Yes.
Many.
And the tens. So again, I keep telling you, in the tens. And eventually, the numbers may run in the hundreds.
Okay. We are having a conversation with a special prosecutor, and we will get straight to this one. Listen to Professor Frimpong Boateng.
I don't know the legal definition. Maybe yes, but maybe not. I'm on bail. So the background is that I think on the 13th or 14th of May, I received a letter from the special prosecutor to appear before him. I should report at 10 a.m. on the 16th of May, which I did. The letter said that they were investigating corruption and corruption-related activities of the IMCIM. I was a little bit disturbed.
And ICIM is Inter-Ministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining.
Yes. I thought that they were going to talk about how to stop Galamsey and all these things. But anyway, so I went there and waited at the lobby. When Malaya was in, we were ushered to the 7th floor where the office of the special prosecutor was. I was ushered into a room, given a seat, and next to me on my right were my lawyers, and opposite me was the senior or the principal investigator, I think that was the title, and some officers from that office. So as soon as I sat down, the chief investigator walked over to me, put his left hand on my shoulder and said, "You are under arrest." I said, "Why am I under arrest? What are my charges?" Well, no specific charges, but we are investigating corruption and corruption-related activities of the IMCIM, that is the committee I chaired. And he asked whether I was ready to answer some questions. I said, well, I'll do my best to answer the questions. So I was asked a lot of questions. Took about 2 hours, or a little bit over 2 hours. And after that, I was told that I had to be bailed before I'll be released. I was not offered the opportunity of self-recognizance bail. So a friend of mine was at the lobby, so he came up and bailed me, and I left. And I was told that if the need arose, I'll be invited back to the office. So that's what happened. And of course, some officers from the OSPs went to see my friend's place where he was staying to make sure that if I absconded, they will be able to get rid of my friends to produce me before the court. Yeah. So this is what happened.
What was the sum, the bill sum, the conditions attached to it?
I was told 2 million cedis or so, if I'm not mistaken.
2 million cedis. Did they also send a team to your house?
No, they did not come to my house.
But they verified the residential address of your friend who had bailed you out. Okay. And the questions that they asked you, what did it relate to?
Related to everything that we did at the IMCIM, but I'm not sure whether I can go over those questions because this is a prosecutor, they're investigating, and I don't feel comfortable, going over the questions. So if you will permit me, let's. But it was a broad-based question, a lot of questions on many topics, and I answered as best as I could, and so that was it.
That's Professor Frimpong Boateng speaking to Evans Mensah on Thursday night about his circumstance when it became public and widespread that he had been arrested by the special prosecutor. Now, first of all, to start with, people are justifiably unhappy. You don't consecrate saints, as you say. In law school, one of the basic things they teach us is that even if you are told this is from the Pope, verify. So, how does it happen that a patriot of the stature of Professor Frimpong Boateng, the first is an African to have done heart surgery, came back to his country, used his own resources to set up the cardiothoracic center that today no one individual can boast to have done better than he has done. Just yesterday, the German embassy here acknowledged him. They rewarded him. How come that such a man is put under arrest by your office? He's put through interrogation for over 2 hours or so, and he's not deserving of self-recognizance bail. People can't understand that. He has become our hero in this country as far as the fight against Galamsey is concerned.
Samson, I respect the credentials of the professor, and I doff off my hat to him. You know very well, you know me personally, you know very well how and my life's trajectory. On another score, I'm an academician myself, and so I respect such people on all scores. I mean, his CV is unbelievable. I respect that, and I applaud him for that. But I have a charge to keep. The charge I have to keep is to the Republic of Ghana and to the public. I have been put in this position to investigate corruption and corruption-related offenses. I've been put in this office to prosecute people who I deem to be culpable for such offenses. I have been put in this office to recover assets for the country. I have been put in this office to prevent corruption. These are the 4 tasks that I have until August 2028. Now, when a case comes before me, first, it's a preliminary investigation. I go under with my officers. Is there any substance to this matter? I'm answering your question. I'll come to it.
Sure.
Is there any substance to this matter? Now, when the preliminary investigation is over, I have certain options. One option is to say, there's no meat in this matter. Let us just file it away. Maybe one day it may not be pulled. Another option open to me is that there is a lot of wisdom in opening a full investigation, and so we should do a broader and fuller inquiry into this matter. And this is where we are in terms of the fight against Galamsey. Now, when you're appearing before us, depending on what we deem to be the charges we are envisaging against you, depending on the nature of the evidence and what we deem to be the seriousness of it, we take action appropriately. I will state again, the public and any member of the public has the luxury to consecrate saints. But in consecrating your saints and your heroes, mind you again, I'm stating again, I am your conscience. I am the spirit of the nation, and the office stands for that. In the estimation of the office, there are no saints. In the estimation of the office, there are no heroes. Now, if I approach this job of fighting corruption, that there are some persons in the society who have attained this status of sainthood, we will lose the fight against corruption.
I think the argument is not that.
I'm coming there.
The argument is not that don't investigate such people, but your approach would be different.
Yes, I'm coming there.
If Professor Frimpong Boateng cannot attract self-recognizance bail, who else in this country will be deserving?
You see, it is coming back to what I keep saying. You have your saint. I don't have saints. In your estimation, the man is a saint. But from my angle, I treat no one as a saint. A lot of allegations, a lot of complaints. I am investigating a broad gamut of issues when it comes to Galamsey. The professor was the man in charge of this dissolved committee. The committee, as far as we're concerned, and the nature of the investigation we are engaged in right now, so the committee was at odds and they couldn't account for so many things. Now, if you sit where I sit, it's not everything that I can reveal at this stage. If you sit where I sit and you take away the emotions from it and you examine the issues before you, you have some very painful pills to swallow. and you may offend people. Mind you, you remember the La Bianca case? It was such a fury, as if I killed someone, because one of the persons involved was a member of the Council of State, and it was unheard of. That was a member of the Council of State, and what am I doing? Do you remember? Chiefs in a certain traditional area sat and vilified me, as if I was Satan's son himself.
Because obviously she's a financier of some of these chiefs, she has built mansions there.
I wouldn't know that. But from my estimation, I'm engaged in an investigation. And at that time, I considered whoever it was as a suspect. You get me? No one who has appeared before me and gone through these processes is left to go like that without us verifying some things.
Is there anyone targeted by the office as far as this investigation is concerned who has left your office on bail on self-recognizance?
No.
Not one?
Not one. And on this matter, no one is going to. The allegations are too far-reaching. The allegations are so serious. Once again, I'll keep saying, and at the risk of repeating myself.
To the extent that Prof cannot be an exception.
See. You may consider it so. But what I have before me and the nature of the things I'm dealing with, once again, as I said, I cannot reveal. One day, if I don't act well, you are the same people who come at me in the middle of the investigation. Why were you giving some people preferential treatment whilst others were not being given preferential treatment? The video you played, the prof said something. So no one came to his house. It should tell you something. That, of course, there are gradations of how we treat some people in respect of how we perceive them. If we perceive you to be such a flight risk, we'll probably be sleeping in your house with you. You get me? And so even there, it should tell you that the status of a person and perhaps his ranking in society would tell me and to instruct my officers that for such a person, what are you going to his house to do? We all know where the house is situated. Why are you going to disturb the peace in the house and all that? Shouldn't that be a feather?
Some even feel that over 2 hours of interrogation, you have decided your office to call it interview. You don't want to use the word interrogation.
Samson, is the law that puts it.
That's embarrassing.
That's embarrassing. What if I recall him? Will it be embarrassing? What if we get to a point of the investigation, and we may get there, that I may need to recall him? Would that be embarrassing? Would I be responsible? Would I be performing my duty well to say that someone comes to the office and in fact a fact file in respect of the person, and we question the person for 5 minutes and let the person go? Shouldn't we get to the bottom of what happened in respect of Galamsey and what is happening? When I was being vetted, how many hours did I spend on the chair, even to go to the loo to perform number one? How many hours was I on the job? Because the Appointments Committee of Parliament realized that it was a very grave national matter they were dealing with, and so when they are vetting you, they will not just spend 5 or 10 minutes with you. We are investigating a matter. It could have even been more than 2 hours. And in all these things, sometimes it depends on the answers the person gives to you. If the person comes and says, "Oh, this is what we do, this and that," for instance, when the professor was coming to us, we specifically asked that he should bring some documents. Of course, the investigators would then have to go through, okay, what documents have been brought, what report was generated, what's this, that alone. How many minutes will it take? You see, do not let us.
Listening to him through in the interview, it sounded as though he didn't have a full picture of what you needed him to do at your place.
Oh, you see, in fairness to everybody involved, even when you are sued and there's a statement of claim served on you, sometimes you do not appreciate 100% what is going on till we get to the point of interrogatories and exchange of documents and all that, and the evidence starts pouring in. So in fairness, I will admit to that even as sometimes you don't even know exactly where you're getting into until you start questioning. And then maybe one answer leads to another. And so appearing before us, you won't have a feel of 100% the entirety of what is going on. But we do not surprise you. We do not surprise you.
Did not?
We do not surprise you. We tell you specifically that this is what we are investigating in respect of you. That corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of this and this and this matter. And at the risk of going too much into this matter, it was very specific. The activities of the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. And you are the head. You get me?
And
you were the head of
specific documents that he was supposed to furnish you with.
Well, in respect of that, I don't really recall the exact wording of the letter, but I'm just saying the professor was asked to bring the documents in respect of the work of the administration. See, it may be that he doesn't have any documents. It may be that they are in an archive somewhere. It would then be our duty then to go for these documents. But I'm saying that he may be a hero in certain quarters. And once again, I said, I respect his credentials. But I cannot let someone's credentials chill me
But the next
from doing a job.
place I'm getting to is this. People are concerned, and reasonably, genuinely so, that how come his arrest did not happen at any time between October 2022, when you announced that you are investigating these matters, but only after he had authored a report which became public, in which report he had named a number of people, and the public doesn't get the sense that the people he named are being investigated just like him.
Samson, I'll repeat again. I've stated this. Had he not come out to grant interviews, had he not come out to say this, that, no one would have even known. I showed up. You know, when this should I say furor commenced, people actually thought it happened a few days ago. I'm sure you even thought, oh, it happened that day.
Very day, on the Thursday.
It was weeks ago.
On the 16th.
Yes, weeks ago.
Of May.
Yes, weeks. Today is the 10th of June. It was weeks ago when he appeared. He attended the office of the special prosecutor. As I said, I keep talking about this.
A media house made a publication before we heard his voice. Is that not what happened? How did this get leaked? If what you do is to protect your as it were, subjects, so that there's no prejudice against them, as you said.
I'm not pointing fingers at people. But sometimes people come to us. We haven't said anything. They go out and there are media people waiting for them, as if they brought them. Come talk to them. Listen to what I'm not saying on this matter, not what I'm saying. Listen to what I haven't said, not what I have said. Sometimes, when you direct people to come, they actually come with media people in the background. Immediately they come out. All of a sudden, they come from my perch in the office. I see everything, have a panoramic view of everything happening. All of a sudden, media people will just show up on the grounds there, and then they are talking to the media. Once again, I'm saying, listen to what I haven't said. It may be very, very instructive. You see, now to your question, the specific question you asked. I also have a question. What time is the right time for me to direct the head of this dissolved committee to attend to us, to answer questions? What time is the right time? I would say that this was a luckless coincidence. Luckless coincidence. And I'm saying a luckless coincidence because of the events of the past few days. That's all. What time is a good time? I told you that.
You seem to suggest the time was not the best because of what has happened after their arrest.
I'm saying that because of the events of the past few days, people think that the timing was not good. I don't see it that way. And that is why I'm asking that question. What time is the best time? And because of the events of the past few days, that is why I'm characterizing this timing as a luckless coincidence. So I'm only saying that it is just a coincidence. And that, once again, every person who had dealings with this committee, every person they dealt with, every person who has a complaint against them is showing up before us. I told you, it's a list of people. Once again, I'll state, had the professor not come out to grant interviews, you wouldn't have known that he had come to us weeks ago. Now go back and check our record, at least since I became special prosecutor from August 2021. I don't put out these things. Unless you give me cause. For instance, we've directed you to show up and you are not showing up. I could declare you a wanted person if we cannot
like
locate
the case of Charles Bisu, who has been trying to fight your invitation in the court, and we learned on Friday, is it that there was an arrest warrant, which his lawyer has said he will not attend, he will not honor.
Oh, you want me to respond to that? I'm not going to. I mean, you know me very well. I don't engage in legal debates like that with people who defend people who come before me. I mean, you're at liberty to sit in the comfort of your office and elevate yourself into the law. But of course, you know, your client may eventually suffer the consequences of your actions.
What his lawyer has been saying in the public lends credence to the complaints and helps people to say, okay, it may be the case that in your office, you are doing things in, as he said, military manner, not consistent with the Constitution. That's what his lawyer has been saying in the media. And I was surprised to hear that and will be very shocked to confirm that, because I remember that there were situations that we had to attend to BNI for our clients, and they were breaching the law, and you were livid about it.
Oh, not too long ago, I even complained about the fact that the picture was taken. Someone also showed up and said, oh, kudos to the office of the special prosecutor, the way we respect the rights of those who show up before us. We are very transparent. We are very plain. Everyone who comes there is treated with utmost respect. How many institutions will write you such a nice letter, directing you to come, showing you where to come and we don't keep people there unnecessarily beyond the time they are.
What about the nice letter? If it's a direction that you don't have a choice.
Oh, that was a joke. Option. That was a joke.
Yes, because if you don't honor it, there are consequences to that.
Yes, that was a joke.
Which means you will actually move in there and arrest.
And that's why I'm saying that if you follow your lawyer sitting in his office, a lawyer who arrogates to himself the powers of the law, and sit in office and you follow the lawyer in respect of these things, and we ask you to show up and you don't show up, there are legal consequences to pay. And mind you, your lawyer will not be paying those consequences. It is you who will be paying those consequences. But Samson, we do not conduct ourselves in a military style. I'm only saying, if you give us the cause, we will come for you. If you give us the cause, we will storm your premises. But we hardly ever do that. And I have been at pains to explain that I withhold my hand so as not to show the power too much. I withhold my hand. And we treat people with civility. It is all because of the reputations of people. You might stigmatize them. You might destroy their reputations. And that is why when the professor was directed to show up, we didn't say anything. My intel tells me he published the direction right upon receipt, but we didn't say anything. Have you check our records from the past 2 years since or so since I became a special prosecutor? We don't announce left, right, center. This person has been arrested. This person has been arrested. This person. We don't do that. We don't do that. And let us say, for the sake of argument, that the office has gone for an arrest warrant from the court. Is that the military style we're talking about? Let us say, for the sake of argument, that is what the office did. Shouldn't the office rather be applauded that we are following legal processes? Is that military style? And Samson?
My guest is Kisi Jabing, who is a special prosecutor, and we are ending this interview shortly. I want to welcome your questions, those that you would normally share with us through your Twitter handle and other means. Share them, and I'll put one or two of such questions to him, and then we will be done with this encounter. There are those, and you acknowledge that in the course of this week, there are people who have come at you really very hard, and there are suggestions that you have had a friendship with the president's cousin, Gabia Sarotredako, and so people should not be surprised about the timing, that because he's falling out with the government, there is a plan to embarrass him.
Is that so? It's very preposterous. Very preposterous. See, something I said at my vetting, July 2021. I was asked about political interference. I said something. I said, I do not fear political interference because no one would dare it with me. I was talking as a person for myself and the institution I had. I do not fear political interference because no one would dare it with me. And having a president who is a first-rate lawyer, having an attorney general who is a first-rate lawyer, they wouldn't even try it. I said that. All words to that effect during my vetting. And I knew where my Achilles heel may come from. And that's one to admit it to Parliament and to the public, that what I feared most was interference or likely interference from chiefs, likely interference from pastors and religious persons. These were the kind of interferences that I feared. I knew. I'm a traditional man myself. I could be chief of my town. And if the overlord of Kwewu, if the Kwewu invites me to show up at a Benin on a Saturday morning, especially when it is Dapa, who am I to say I won't show up on the traditional level? Who am I to show up to say I won't show up? And if the Kwewu tells me that our nephew, this matter and that matter, and then they are pouring libation and all that, and you are also a traditional man, you are sitting there. Those are the kind of incantations that I could be afraid of. And so when I came in, I had to go around and tell some of these chiefs that, please, let us drink on it and let us pour libation, that you will never call me in respect of anybody. Now, back to this matter. I said it is preposterous. It is preposterous because, see, the OSP, at least since I have been in charge of it, is not a weapon for settling scores. The OSP does not settle scores. The OSP does not settle scores on behalf of people and for people. You think no one offended me before I became a special prosecutor? Why then don't I use my power and go back and start making a list of all the people who crossed me or the people who fell out of favor with me, and I start going after them? That's not how you conduct business. That's not how you do things. And I do not live in isolation. Yes, I've had friends. Yes, I have friends. I keep saying, anytime I get opportunity, I don't know about Attorney General. As a friend of mine, he's my mate. You know very well. We sat together in the same class for a long time. We've had association for a very long time. And that doesn't mean I'm going to settle scores for any named individual. Now, if you have your fight with someone in court, that is your kettle of fish. And Samson, it is because of such suggestions That's why I characterize the timing as one of luckless coincidence. Maybe if on my list in October 2022, I had called the professor first on my list, we won't be saying this, would we? Or if I had waited and then in December 2023, if we are still in the course of the investigation, I had called him, we won't be talking about this, would we? But God forbid that I will be used to settle scores on behalf of someone or another. The government of the day does not and cannot instruct me to go after people or to embarrass them. No one has even tried that before.
What I'll ask now, perhaps before you take leave of us, will be that people are surprised that you don't seem to have paid attention to a ruling of the SHRAJ, Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, that cleared Professor Frimpong Boateng of any wrongdoing as far as, these Galamsey matters are concerned. In that report, there were 3 specific allegations that were made against him. First, that he was involved in a company that is a Symphony. He was involved in that company, which was involved in Symphony Limited, which was involved in illegal mining, and that they had also not paid, certain levies that were to be paid to the state, totaling in excess of 200 and something United States dollars. But the commission found that the claims were untrue, except one partial observation that it made, that in the declaration of his asset, he was not sufficiently clear about the company, even though he had also declared some of that. He and his wife established the company sometimes in 2009 or so, and then subsequently they divested themselves of it. They gave their shares of 60,000, 40,000 to one Yao Badu, and then his son Jojo is also involved. But subsequently the company took on, they actually said the company had been registered not to do mining, but it was involved in mining. And SHRAJ found that later the company, as it were, amended its regulations to be able to do mining. And by the time all that was happening, Professor Frimpong Boateng and the rest were not involved. The question has been that, why didn't you pay attention to this to know that this man, has an uncontestable reputation and that he hasn't done anything wrong at all?
Samson, I'll say again, maybe for the 10th time, no one has an uncontestable reputation as far as I'm concerned. If I sit as a special prosecutor and regard people as having uncontestable reputations, then we will lose the fight against corruption. Now, 2 things. SHRAJ, they are partners. We work together in tandem on so many of these matters. And in respect of one major ongoing case, the body of evidence that we use, 99% of the body of evidence that we're using came from SHRAJ, because SHRAJ had done some work on it before. Whatever SHRAJ is doing, we pay attention to what SHRAJ is doing. Whatever we're doing, SHRAJ pays attention to it. But you see, and this is where the story ends, SHRAJ does not have the mandate to do criminal investigations. SHRAJ may be doing it for some other reasons. In our case, merely because SHRAJ has done some investigation, it may be abuse of office, it may be conflict of interest and all that, does not prevent us from doing a criminal investigation. Ours is a criminal investigation, and that is what we're doing. And you see, all the key findings that you're talking about, do they look familiar to what we are doing? They don't. We are what what we are investigating, you can tell, it's totally different from what Shraj did. We have paid attention to it. We have looked at it. Indeed, if we find other matters, which then requires us to go to Shraj, to dig further into these aspects, we will. But this is a totally different thing.
Okay.
From what we are investigating.
And I'll confess with you that I'm hosting you and doing an interview not for myself but for the public.
Oh, I know.
I've read the Shraj 117-page report, and the issues raised there are not about corruption or corruption related. They are affairs that he has breached a provision of the Constitution about the conduct of public officers. That's not the mandate of the OSP. The questions of not paying what they should have paid, which was actually found to be less to be paid, even though circumstances show that paying it is not fair to the company, the Symphony Limited. They have nothing to do with the OSP's mandate. But like I said, the show is not for me, but it's for the public.
And I got that very clear.
So as you take leave of us, we want to know just how soon will this be over? Because you indicated to us you have started investigations as far back as October 2022.
Samson, before I answer your question, I have a curious request. Can you play whatever tune it is for me before I answer this question? Yanara Assassin.
That's a deep thing to play. Let's have it. There you have it.
Thank you very much. I cannot give you a specific time frame. Indeed, this is one of the most tasking investigations we have ever thrown ourselves into. It spans from the northern borders all the way to the coast and the width of the country. It is so far-reaching. It is unbelievable. And so, as I said, we are leaving no stone unturned. I was at pains to remind civil society and the public, beginning of last month, that, please, we said we were doing it. So, if you are telling us to investigate, we already said in October that we're doing it. So, yes, we are very aware of what we're doing and we're doing it. I wish I could give it a specific time frame, but we are doing all that we can to come up with a workable investigation report and to see what further steps we can take from that. It is very, 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 very dear to our hearts. When we fly about, you see the water bodies. When we go to our hometowns, you see the devastation and all that. None of us wants this. And once again, I'll ask the public. We spoke on the last day of 2022. I remember we spoke. And I asked the question. And I'm being prompted to ask the question again. Are we ready to fight corruption? Samson, remember that question? Are we ready to fight corruption?
The public is also interested. Is your office equipped to do this job? Because as we already know, you don't have the necessary tools that you need, the full complements of what you need. And that's the concern of others. So some even suggest that a commission may go into this rather than leaving it to the special prosecutor because of how wide it is.
See, these are policy considerations. I'm not to answer these questions. But in respect of the resources of the office and funding of the office, it's a work in progress. Mind you, we are a young institution, and so we keep building every day. We keep building the institution, and you know, I keep telling my directors and other senior officers that I wish I became special prosecutor after this term. Did you get me? I wish I had become special prosecutor after the expiration of this present term, because the one who becomes special prosecutor after me, he will not have teething problems. I have teething problems, but he will not. By the time he comes, there will be more established processes and all that in place. But Samson, this question is very, very dear to my heart, and we should all, and that is why I asked for this. That's why I made this curious request that NRI Asase will be played for me. It's very dear to my heart. Are we ready to fight corruption? If we are ready to fight corruption, can we allow the institution that has been set up to fight corruption to fight corruption? Can we not consecrate people as saints and hand them over to the special prosecutor? That, as far as we are concerned, there is a list of the saints that have been consecrated in our land, and these people cannot be questioned. These people cannot be considered as persons of interest to you, no matter what. Can we not do that?
Where corruption fights those who fight corruption.
And even very much
aware. Do the very small things we do by way of fighting corruption, our lives are not spared. We are in danger.
I know very much. So I am the person with the highest risk.
That's right.
In this land, I'm the person with the highest risk because of what I do. But I'm asking again, and the reason why I keep asking this question, especially on 31st December of last year, is that you see, it is as if when I have been using you as an example all this while, let me keep using as an example.
And I've just been praying that I don't find myself at your premises, because myself, my brand and even my worth will not qualify me for a self-recognizance bill. I'm dead.
It depends on what I consider the circumstances to be. In the general scheme of affairs, that is what will tell me whether, in respect of this matter, it should be this or it should be that. Okay. Once again, I keep saying I will be irresponsible if I don't consider these things and start giving out automatic exits. See, I was saying, let me use it as an example. Let's say Samson comes out tomorrow to say, oh, he was arrested after the program on Saturday by the special prosecutor. The people who like you, the people who are fond of you, the people who are your, let me say, fans, the way they will come after me, the way they insult and vilify me. Tomorrow, let me turn and say, oh, your producer, he is to report at my place to answer some questions. Then all of us, let's say you have issues with your producer. Let's say you have issues with your producer. The people who like you, your fans, they will be agog in happiness, in praises of the special prosecutor, because, oh, he's going after Samson's producer. Now, Samson, the fans or the followers of Samson's producers would then be going, how dare the special prosecutor? How dare he come after him? That's what's going on. But once again, I'm saying, let me keep my mandate and my duty as the conscience of the nation to rise above those who have been made saints, those who have been declared holy, those who have been declared untouchable. I'll end by saying, as far as the office of the special prosecutor is concerned, no one is a saint.
Okay.
No one.
Thank you very much. Kisi Ejabeng is the special prosecutor of the Republic of Ghana, and this has been an exclusive with him. I've got other guests that we are going to interact with shortly, but let me share a few of your messages with you. Fat Joe El Rich says, is it true that the OSP published a report claiming the professor had been, okay, you joined us late, had been arrested and granted bail as claimed by the professor in the interview? I haven't heard the professor say that OSP made a publication. Now, in Kwame Nkrumah says, Mr. Kisi Ejabeng, watching Mr. Kisi Ejabeng critically for the very first time, I'm beginning to like him. He exudes some confidence that kind of reassures me he wants to do the right thing. However, as to whether he will succeed or will be allowed is another thing. Results are everything. But Vida, is it, or Vida? Kindly, as a special prosecutor, would it be a good choice for transparency's sake that he holds monthly, quarterly briefings for the nation about the progress of his work? The law that sets him up mandates him to provide us with, quarterly reports, statutorily. And if you go to their website, you will see some of them. Half yearly reports, correct? Half yearly report. That's section 2 thereabout. This one says, Samson, kindly ask Mr. Kisi Ejabeng whether he thinks he has the support and all the necessary logistics to fight corruption under, okay, the manner in which you are concluding it. It's not nice. Let's not be insulting the president for no reason at this point in time as we discuss these matters. Then Professor Ransford Jampo says, as you may know, I have criticized Kisi Ejabeng over the last week, but listening to him, I fully understand him. But he must still tone down while going about his work without compromise. His body language can be better. Or I don't get it when you say tone down because he's not been speaking. So anyway, right. So I think we'll pause here and let the special prosecutor take leave of us, and I'll return to host my other guest. This is Reverend Father Dieudonné. Says that thank you for the educative interview with the OSP. Thank you very much. And I have discovered the key to ending the Galamsey menace. I'm serious about that. I'm not joking. I've discovered the key.
Actually, maybe I should be inviting you.
I've discovered the key. And the key is very simple. You know, if you go to, Adamasu and something, the other name, the towns where the Professor Frimpong Boateng Sons Company is involved, was giving a concession, but was never able to mine. If you go to that place, there are reports, even including from Professor Frimpong Boateng's son, Jojo, who was the chief executive of the company. Since 2012 or 2014, up to 2017, 2019, to the last day that Shraj was investigating the matter, they had concessions, but they could not mine. Do you know why? The people refused them. They said they do cashew, they do cocoa, and they are farmers in Brongahafo. So there was a chief who actually tried to give support, and that's a legal support because they had all the licenses. The chief tried to give support to the company. That chief was destood. The Queen Mother, other chiefs, the assemblymen, almost all the assemblymen were interviewed, and they insisted that they drove the people away. At the end, they wrote to the government seeking a government intervention with security to go to the place so that they can mine lawfully. The people still resisted. They say You got the licenses from Accra. We are here. We say you will not mine. They were unable to mine one prospect, one small gold in that area. The ministerial committee never found the need to go to that place because there was no mining going on there. There was no illegal mining going on there. I think the people of that town and their leaders need to be rewarded for how they have fought it. Albeit the people had legal licenses and they didn't allow them. Thank you very much. We'll be right back.
We have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the...
Behind the PC problem, in the sun problem, common light bulb stuff.
This no matter. I beg go Robert and Sons. Oh yeah, then my chick to him, I know correct. Cry. Where Robert and Sons sort them out sharp. Now so stylish frames in the rock.
We go Robert and Sons right in. No, I was sitting inside proper.
For over 25 years, Robert & Sons continues to provide specialist eye care for both adults and children. Locate us at Adabraka, Adenta, Kumasi, Usudankwa, Tema, Weja, and East Legon. Call 050-151-9111. Robert & Sons, seeing is believing.
My way insurance, my way,
Hi, my name is Nanama McBrown, and I want to encourage you to dial *165# on MTN to join the My Way family. My Way provides you and a selected family member a cover against death. As a policy holder, you will also have a cover against total permanent disability and hospitalization should you be hospitalized for more than 2 nights. Dial *165# and join the family. Sanya My Way. No way.
My Way is a product of My Life and MTN Momo. Terms and conditions apply.
The Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, has introduced a new online vehicle registration process. That's right. You can now log on to online.gov.gh to start your new vehicle registration process at the comfort of your location. Then present your vehicle at any private vehicle test station with customs release documentation for verification and testing. Once that's done, you can visit any DVLA office for further vehicle inspection and biometric verification of the owner or authorized persons for your digital smart card. Yes, a smart card. No more paper documents, and it's that easy. Log on to online.gov.gh today and start your new vehicle registration process now. DVLA, your safety, our concern.
Oh, Charlie, close the window small. Your room be too bright, oh.
Why, you be vampire where you know they like sunlight?
Oh, my guy, my eyes. Behind the PC problem, in the sun problem, common light bulb stuff.
This no matter. I beg go Robert and Sons. Oh yeah, then my chick to him, I know correct. Cry. Where Robert and Sons sort them out sharp. Now so stylish frames in the rock.
We go Robert and Sons right in. No, I was sitting inside proper.
For over 25 years, Robert & Sons continues to provide specialist eye care for both adults and children. Locate us at Adabraka, Adenta, Kumasi, Usudankwa, Tema, Weja, and East Legon. Call 050-151-9111. Robert & Sons, seeing is believing.
My way insurance, my way,
Hi, my name is Nanama McBrown, and I want to encourage you to dial *165# on MTN to join the My Way family. My Way provides you and a selected family member a cover against death. As a policy holder, you will also have a cover against total permanent disability and hospitalization should you be hospitalized for more than 2 nights. Dial *165# and join the family. Sanya My Way. No way.
My Way is a product of My Life and MTN Momo. Terms and conditions apply.
First Sky Group, a wholly owned Ghanaian company made up of First Sky Construction, First Sky Bitumen Processing, First Sky Commodities, Volta Serene Hotel, Serene Insurance, First Sky Energies, and Frero Rural Bank warmly invite you to its 21st Thanksgiving service on the theme, The Faithfulness of the Lord Never Ceases, Lamentations chapter 3, verse 22 to 23. The Thanksgiving service in 2 parts will be hosted by the founder and executive chairman, Mr. Eric Sedi Kutocha. Friday, January 12, 2024, all night from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. at the Trinity Temple Assemblies of God Church, TTAG Community 10 Ministry in Word, Reverend Mark Sese, National Missions Director, Assemblies of God, Sierra Leone, Reverend Sujit Alex, Thames North Area Leader, Assemblies of God, UK, Sunday, January 14th, 2024, Thanksgiving service at the main auditorium of the Accra International Conference Center at 10 a.m. Guest speaker, Most Reverend Dr. Paul Kwabena Boafo, Presiding Bishop, the Methodist Church, Ghana. Special guest of honor, the Chief Justice, Her Ladyship, Mrs. Gertrude Araba Esaba Saki Tokono. Ministering in music will be Team Eternity and others. Also in attendance will be His Eminence Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, Reverend Dr. Stephen Yanusam Wengam, General Superintendent, Assemblies of God, Ghana, Reverend Professor Paul Frimpong Mansu, Immediate Past General Superintendent, Assemblies of God, Ghana, Reverend Dr. Silvanus Amagashichi Elon, Head Pastor, Trinity Temple, Assemblies of God, Ghana, Reverend Mark Sese, National Missions Director, Assemblies of God, Sierra Leone, Reverend Sujit Alex, Thames North Area Leader, Assemblies of God, UK, Apostle Professor Kojo Ninfo Opoku Onina, Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete, Reverend Eastwood Anaba, Reverend Dr. Joyce I, Reverend Eddie Annan, Assemblies of God UK, and other senior clergy. For more details, contact 020-854-3441 or 050-148-2580. It's the First Sky Group 21st Thanksgiving service. Don't miss it.
Join us at the groundbreaking event where African leaders like Dr. Arikana, Peter Obi, Patrice Lumumba, Julius Malema, performing live Stoneboy, Wiyala, Efia, and other special surprise guests with giveaways and exclusive items. Dial *713*33*00# for your free ticket. It's happening on the 7th of January 2024 at the Independence Square. Time 5 p.m. Africa rises again. Experience a powerful convergence of cultures. The convention, igniting the voices of Africa.
Whether it's 1924, 2024, or 2124, we've always known that you are driven by your sense of safety and well-being. It is what drives us to see you through from start to finish, from small to big. And in the last 100 years, as you have evolved, so have we also expanded to serve you in many ways. From cradle to grave, with expertise in insurance, life, pensions, properties, health, and for those beautiful, memorable goodbyes. It's 2024, and in all our markets, Our pedigree is recognized, our strength respected, our expertise valued, and our solutions sought by all who desire an advantage in life. Experience the time-tested and truly trusted 100 years legacy of Ghana's oldest insurer. Take charge of your future now. Insurance, life, pensions, property management, funeral services, health insurance. Enterprise, your advantage.
Today, the question is no longer, why do we have problems? But rather, how can we spin those challenges into opportunities? This is the revolutionary mindset we, students here at Academic City, are driven by. Academic City, we believe that the challenges of today are nothing like the opportunities of tomorrow. Hence, we're poised for the future. And so we say, come join us.
Pakuli.
Jasanyan.
Uyai Tibatane.
Self-Ranadia.
Yen Wijwin.
Brabekayam. Ao, Amanasat Shame Gojal. As we lead the charge to empower the next generation of future leaders. Academic City University College, redefining university education.
Never stops until the job is done. Turn your home and business into an internet highway and experience the revolution of working and playing without limits. Visit broadband.mtn.com.gh to sign up for MTN Fiber for home and business today.
When you're little, days are extremely busy. Work, traffic jams, meetings, conference calls. Luckily, our mom is here to take good care of us with day-by-day baby and day-by-day kids and their naturally active ingredients. Our skin is hydrated, soothed, and protected all day long. Yes.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, as always, we put Ghana first. And earlier, the towns that I was looking for the names of, in some portions, they are you find the name Adamsu. In some other portions, it becomes Adomesu. And then Bebianeha. And Bebianeha in Sunyani. Let me just read one thing that became clear in the processes why they stopped mining They said they would not allow mining at all. It doesn't matter that you have got the licenses and all the permits. If you read page 71 of the report from Shraj, this is one of the accounts. The assemblyman in Dumsor named Jones Sefa went on his public announcement system claiming, insisting, and announcing to the community that all our papers are fake, forged, and invalid. He was referring to the papers of the mining company, which were genuine nonetheless. In one of the meetings, Mr. Jones Sefa, Mr. Kofi Atta, youth leader and former assemblyman of the district, Jones stated that he visited all the villages which are located in the area of the concession and notified to the residents, and specifically the youth and Symphony Limited, that Symphony Limited is coming to do galamsey. They were not there to do galamsey. And they plan to open a big pit that all the children, women, and hunters will fall in and die, and rape their women as well. They should stop our operation at all costs, even if they have to shed blood to stop us. So these were the people. They decided themselves that even if those who are coming to mine have to shed blood to stop them, they will still stop them. Let me just read this little portion. So one of the elders made it known to us that the government, especially the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Peter Amawu, has directed all mining activities to cease until further notice. Thus, they will not discuss anything further with us. So this is the company trying to have discussions with them to let them understand that we are here to do legal mining, not illegal mining. They said, we won't listen to you. We tried to explain to them that it is illegal mining, galamsey, and small-scale mining that the government is cracking down on, not large-scale prospecting. But our efforts proved futile. The Assemblyman, Martin Opong, further stressed that the government and the Minerals Commission do not own any land in the community. So if the Minerals Commissions have granted us the permit, they will never allow us to work. Also, he has written to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Minerals Commission, Brong Ahafo Regional Minister, Regional Army Commander, to intervene on our coming to prospect. After the chief and elders have abandoned the meeting, Martin Opong explicitly told us that they could have beaten us up to serve as a deterrent to others coming to do galamsey. They were coming there not to do galamsey, since there is a ban on all mining activities. To my utter amazement, I just can't comprehend why the assemblymen just don't do any due diligence and find out from the Minerals Commission if what we were telling them is true or false. They have taken the laws into their own hands and are the root cause of all our perils in the communities. Instead of representing the government, they represent themselves with their own inflated egos, disrespecting everyone, masterminding and scheming to derailing our work and progress over the years since 2011. So it doesn't matter that they had all the permits, these guys will not allow them. I read a last portion of a letter that the company wrote seeking government support intervention. It was headed, they were seeking support, they call it Government and Minerals Commission intervention is paramount. And in that, they made note of certain things that it just, you know, even though the guys were stopping a legal process, you can't help but admire them. All right, I'll stop here so that we can hear my guest also. But my point is that it took the people themselves. They decided that their cashew farming, their cocoa farming, and their general farming activities, they will not allow anybody to destroy them with mining. And so they themselves stood against mining, even legal mining. And a chief they suspected, had perhaps been influenced somewhat to want to coerce them to agree, they ensured the chief was destood. And the Queen Mother, other elders, assemblymen, and youth leaders were leading the charge. We can fight it in your various communities. So let me now welcome my guests to help us. They will share their views on this briefly, and then we will look at the matter of the by-elections in Asin North and the claims that are coming up. My guests are Kofi Bento, lawyer and senior vice president, Imani Africa. Gary Nimakomafo is director, legal affairs, New Patriotic Party. Godwin Eduji Tameklo is legal and communications team member, the National Democratic Congress. Gentlemen, thank you very much, and thanks for your patience.
Good morning.
Great.
Yeah.
So, listening to the OSP, the SP, about particularly this matter of the arrest of Professor Frimpong Boateng, what do you have to say? Let's begin with you, Gary.
Starting with me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Good morning to you, Samson, and good morning to your cherished viewers. I think one thing that we must all understand is that if we have all committed ourselves to live in a democracy, and we are being ruled by a constitution of the republic, we should all understand that the law ought to prevail. We are all under the law. You see material, your status in society, whatever it is, we are all under the law. Now, if an investigative authority invites you to investigate you on any matter of interest, whether crime or whatever it is, I think that when you go there, you can go there with your lawyer, as we always do, and you are afforded a hearing. If you go there and then at the end of the day, they look at what you are telling them, and there is no need to proceed with any further investigation, you are let off to go. Sometimes, ordinarily, read an ordinary statement, they think that information you are giving them is for relevance or your person of interest. You rest the statement under caution. You are granted bail. If they don't grant you bail, you go to court, and the court grants you bail. Now, for me, I found something very interesting here. If Professor Frimpong Boateng had gone there some weeks, as we are now being told or made aware of, and was granted 16th of May, and was granted self-recognizance bail.
Not self-recognizance.
It wasn't self, it was
yes.
what?
There was a surety.
But he was granted bail.
Yes, he was.
Good. He was granted bail. How come all that time none of us became aware of this story? Until recently, now we are being told that he went there, and then now he has been granted bail, and for the story to appear as if maybe somebody is out there to undo him. Investigation does not mean that you are liable. You see, it doesn't mean you are liable. I mean, at the end of the day, when it can come out that you are not liable, or maybe you're a person of interest, or maybe you're, even that one, they must still go to court to prove your guilt. So the OSP office, or the police, or whatever, they cannot pronounce guilt on anybody. They can form their facts and their evidence and say, well, we believe that based on these facts and on the law and the evidence, we want to go to court and charge you for offense A, offense B, offense C. I think at this stage, calm must prevail. Tempest must all calm down. I don't really see the brouhaha, because if indeed they are now investigating and it's been going on for some time, it doesn't come out to the public for, then I do not see why the good prof brought these things out to the public for. For what reason anyway? To call public sympathy or for what? For me, I think that we should allow the OSP to work. The OSP is a creature of statute. I mean, it's also the president had this office as very dear to his heart. And for that reason, push Parliament through to pass this thing. I think the president will be the last person to ensure this office doesn't work and succeed. You see, so I think we should take our time, give him all the support that he deserves, and let him do his work. That is the way I see it. I don't think that we should sit down and then try to vilify the office as if the office is there to do a personal vendetta.
There's a young man with sufficient influence in Senegal who it is alleged that he's being prosecuted because the president is afraid that he will contest him in elections. And the charge against him was rape. The court pronounced a judgment. He was not guilty of rape, but a kindred offense. Senegal was thrown into almost a full-scale civil war. There were burnings, important buildings were set alight, people were running for their lives.
Yeah.
So sometimes the law will be there, but you have to exercise, some wisdom in when to do what at what time. Does it not?
Samson, let me put it this way. At the time when the Prof was invited, did it come to the public forum? Were you aware that he'd been invited by the OSP office? You had no idea. 3 weeks, 4 weeks down the line, I had no idea that indeed he had been invited by the OSP office to answer questions.
No, but the time he was invited, that is the time that he had issued his report had become public.
No,
and
I don't know. I don't know
report.
about the time that he was invited. What I know is that there was an investigation going on this matter way before.
Yes, since October 2022.
And then I became aware that his report that was subsequently publicized also, I think, came out when?
In May. And it was also referred to the police.
The police for investigation.
Exactly.
Yeah, so in all this, all I'm saying is that let the investigations go on. You see, I don't even understand why, whilst investigations are going on, he is granting interviews to the media as if to cleanse himself of the investigation. You see, if you are not careful, he might say certain things that ordinarily you shouldn't put out there, which may give him trouble. I think that my advice to him is to just curtail off all public interviews on the matter that are being investigated.
But in the interviews, you can see clearly that he doesn't speak to the substance of the matters. He's been very clear. Even the matters that are pending in court, the defamation suits by Gabi and the security man at the presidency, he doesn't speak to them.
That is Captain Koda?
Yes, he doesn't speak to them.
Okay, that is fine. That is fine. But as I said, I think that the process ought to go on. It must go on because at the end of the day, the fact that you're investigating doesn't mean that you are guilty or you are liable. It's an investigation. It turns out that you are not liable. It turns out that you are liable. Even if they say you are liable, you have to go to court for them to establish your guilt beyond reasonable doubt.
Are you also surprised, like others are, that he wasn't granted self-recognizance bail?
Bail conditions always depend on the circumstances. You see, and then the information available to the investigators and what they consider, whether to grant you self-recognizance bail or otherwise. Because sometimes, maybe based on certain information they have, they can say, well, we'll give you self-recognizance bail. As you are aware, sometimes...
Self-recognizance bail means that you have a sufficient reputation yourself.
Yes.
That you don't need anybody else to come and vouch for you to be giving a bail.
Right. And then sometimes they say, well, bring one person to be a surety, sometimes even two. And sometimes they even say, well, you have to even bring a justification, i.e. bring property to justify whatever, and that will go to another long process. So, for me, the important thing, he was granted bail.
Okay.
And he was not detained by the OSP office. He was not molested by the OSP office. He wasn't, when he went there, not that he was coerced to say certain things that he didn't want to say. You see, what is important to me now, let us allow the process to go on. It's very important. Else, it will appear as if, somebody is trying to, because the person is a big man or a small man, his matter cannot be going into. To me, that's the point. Let all of us allow the process to go. It doesn't mean that you are guilty or otherwise. That's the point I want to make on this particular matter.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Ediji.
So, Senior, good morning to our viewers and the two of you. I need to make the point that, first of all, today happens to be the 31st anniversary of the formation of the NDC. So it's only proper as a rep here to raise these issues. But that said, you see, I think that our focus on the special prosecutor is taking the conversation, really, from the real culprits in this whole enterprise. You see, Samson, you and I have never put our presidency on the line relative to the devastating effect or impact of Galamsey. It is only one person, and that one person is Mr. Akufo-Addo. He's told us
that he's putting his presidency, Frimpong Boateng and the others are basically assigns for him. If at the end of putting your presidency on the line, the scorecard is that persons that you have appointed to supervise this fight against this illegal, what I call environmental terrorism, the scorecard is that persons that you have appointed have now become persons of interest for the purposes of corruption and corruption-related offenses. What you do is to bow down your head in shame. What these things do, this conversation about the SP and others, what it does is that it takes our eyes off the ball. And the ball is that Mr. Akufo-Addo, with the benefit of power.
You are not dealing with the substance.
Hold on.
Deal with the substance.
Hold on. Calm down.
Deal with the
There's
substance.
nothing propaganda about what I'm saying.
Deal with the substance.
The point I am making is that with the benefit of power, our expectation is that the president would have demonstrated leadership. That has not happened. We cannot scapegoat the office of the special prosecutor at this crucial moment. Why do I say so? About 2 weeks ago, I went with my client, quite popular person. The office invited a person. I took the client there. After going through all the procedural issues, they told us right there that, listen, the constitutional provision on fair trial, arrest and others, they will take us through all those processes. When we finished, and they watched videos and what, they came to the conclusion that, well, they will grant us bail. I was thinking that, with the prominence of my clients, right, they will say, go home and come back later. They said, no, we need a surety. So a university lecturer came in, stood in, because it was Friday, they said, okay, come back on Monday with the surety. So we'll go to your house and inspect. And I respected them for that professionalism. The point I'm making is that so far, Professor Frimpong Boateng has not alleged that any of his rights as a Ghanaian, be it a suspect or person of interest, was violated in the entire process, except the concerns raised that he ought to have been given self-recognizance bail. Those matters are at the discretion. But what is not in that is that you were bailed. Remember that there are people who are kept in custody as Ghanaians. But in the specific case, you were granted bail with the surety. In any case, they've not extricated the surety. Then you say that, by reason of the bail condition, you spent a few more days or hours in the office of the... That did not happen. What I don't want us to do is to lose the real fight in trying to hallow individuals in this conversation. Initially, until I listened to the special prosecutor this month, I had my own reservation, which I have expressed publicly. I said, look, well, maybe with the benefit of hindsight, Prof should have been given self-recognizance bail, looking at how prominent, he is. But there's a justification that has been provided. He had a discretion to take, and I do not want to fault him at this point. It is too early in the conversation to begin to fault him. Initially, I was even thinking that, okay, make Frimpong Boateng, instead of a suspect, possibly the complainant. The OSP explained that, look, I have started this investigation since 2022. So it is not about my knowledge of a report that was released in 2023. That is just an additional input. So that if my investigation was premised on the report he has sent to the presidency, then possibly I'll be treating him as a complainant. But I have started my investigation way earlier. And I'm happy you mentioned the issue of the police investigation as well. See, now look at the situation where Frimpong Boateng's letter or report got to the presidency on the 19th day of March 2021. The man goes to GBC 2 years later to do an interview where he says that the perpetrators of this environmental terrorism are associates. They work at the Jubilee House. The next time, then the president hypocritically says, I'm referring you to the CID for investigation. A report that has always been in your custody since 2021. So in 2021, where you saw these persons of interest, close associates, family members, whose name have been mentioned in an official report to you, if you wanted to demonstrate leadership, that is when you will say, look, in 2021, I've received this report through my chief of staff CID, investigate. You waited. You sat on the report 2 years. The man became PIF, goes to GBC, grants an interview, and quickly he said, CID, come and investigate. Mr. President, we can see through the sham and charade.
To be faithful to the facts, the president did not refer Professor Frimpong Boateng for investigation. He referred the report to the CID for investigation.
No. If you listen to the president...
However belated.
No. When the president heard the mentioning by Professor Frimpong Boateng on the GBC interview that his close associates or persons he work with are into galamsey, then he triggered a CID investigation.
Investigate the matter, not Professor Frimpong Boateng.
No, I mean the matter. What I'm saying is that the allegations, so he should come and justify the people he claimed who work at the Jubilee House who are into galamsey. But the point I'm making is that you, the president, you have been in receipt of the report since 2021. No action until the man went on air. So that hypocrisy, we need to take it out from there. So the whole idea of making it look like, oh, it is in any case, the special prosecutor on this particular issue even started the investigation much earlier, correct? Even before the president's action. So if anybody ought to be even commended relative to this galamsey fight and the corruption-related matters, it should be him. I've heard the other conversation where, for instance, there's this claim that, a former client of the SP, and so the SP cannot investigate. And on your show the other time...
That's an ass.
Yes. I've listened to my own...
matter with Charles Bisu.
Fantastic. I've listened to lawyers for Charles Bisu make the point that even when the SP had obtained a lawful order from the court to arrest Mr. Charles Bisu, an appointee of Mr. Akufo-Addo, they will not respect the orders. I find that suggestion problematic, being an officer of the court. Because you see, no matter how dubious the order may even be, compliance is required for public policy reasons. Because you see, if we all elect that lawful orders or otherwise of the court will not respect it, and that will resort to self-help. The danger, Gary, you and I agree, is to create a chaotic situation. Then we are put to an election that, oh, this order is lawful, this order it is not. So I'll respect this, I will not. I think that we should not be having that conversation now. Go to the office of the special prosecutor. If you have grievances, you can then legitimately challenge those grievances. But until that is done, you cannot put yourself to an election that you want to respect this order from the court or I will not. So on this, with the explanation from the office of the special prosecutor, I think the conversation really should be the failure demonstrated by Mr. Akufo-Addo relative to this fight against galamsey. He should be the focus and not the special prosecutor, respectfully.
Well, you want to say something briefly about that aspect, because there are some lawyers that say this is very concerning, that the lawyer for Charles Bisu, Nana Bafo, will say that, yes, if you are talking about a warrant, whatever it is, our client will not respect it. Nana J. Bafo, who was saying that.
Well, Samson, let me be very frank and straightforward on the matter. That statement, if indeed was uttered by Nana J. Bafo, to the effect that they will not respect a lawful court order, I think, in my view, it was lawful, it was unethical, and I think it should not come from a lawyer.
I agree with you.
In the sense that, you see, like my brother Aduji said, you cannot choose which orders of court to obey, which not to obey. Ex parte affoda.
Yep.
You must take steps to set aside the order, get the order varied, or an appeal overturned. Nobody can choose by himself or herself to respect or not to respect court orders. Court orders are meant to be enforced.
Okay.
You see, so I have a big difficulty with that statement. And I think that my brother Bafwa is not doing his client any good by making that statement out there. The orders of the court, if they believe that the orders ought to be appealed against, there are legal processes to go through.
He said he thinks that it was improperly secured because at the time that they were getting the order, they had also issued a writ, and they didn't inform the court that they have issued a writ seeking to stop the SP from investigating their clients.
You see, that's what I'm saying, that if you have any crimes by the process with the order was procured, you must go to the court with a rightful application.
Yeah, and you quote Expert Afoda clearly. Yes, but it says even if a judgment is unlawful, you can't say you won't obey.
Yes, no, it does not lie in the mouth.
And Senior, you agree that the policy reason, the public policy reason, is that you see, you don't want to create the impression out there in public that you have the opportunity to elect that this order of the court, I will respect it, this one I will not.
Okay.
Because at the rural level, people may not understand all these intricacies. Yeah. So even when you serve them a court order, they can easily decide that no, we will not. Even at the risk of contempt. You don't want to put your client in that situation. Right. And I'm also saying that, look, I just told you, I've gone to the office of special with a client. They brought an invitation. We honored the invitation. We went there. They said, you are under arrest. We said, for what offenses? They listed the offenses. We said, no, we are not. We gave a statement. We went through the processes. I asked for bail. I said, look, the person left home and came to your office voluntarily. On what basis would you want to detain the person?
Okay.
And then the officers acted professionally.
So you are saying you are a witness with contrary testimony to Nana Ejebafwewa's comment that the OSP is acting in a military fashion without respect.
In any case, if it was military, right, then in a Gestapo manner, they would have even arrested your client on the way home. Nothing precludes them from doing that. But this time around, they've extended an invitation to you. So what you do is that you go there with your client. When you go there and any of his rights is being violated, you now have a firm basis to approach the courts that relative to ABC conduct, the manner in which you have treated my... And you see, Kisi Jaben, he taught me, he taught me criminal law. The least or the last person I expect in the face of everything to violate it, because
he taught both of you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Because usually in his criminal law, what he does is that he starts with Article 14, 15, 19 first, at the preliminary level of the class. And he will tell you that, and you see the benefit he has is that he also came from criminal practice.
That's right.
Criminal defense. So he appreciates the things that he enjoyed with his client.
So I was actually mentioning to him, there was one occasion that we had clients at the BNI, the then BNI.
NIB now.
Yes, myself, him, Magas.
Yes, Chief.
Yes, Egbert Fable.
Yeah, Chief.
And we went, and the BNI officials' conduct was clearly in breach of our client's rights. And when we realized was getting, Kisi was very livid. And he called some of us together and said, look, we shouldn't allow this to go on. So we actually, had to inform the AG that this outfit must be told that they can't do some of these things. They arrest people and they don't even give them the opportunity to contact their family.
You go here and they'll tell you go here, and go here.
And keep them there. They can keep them there for days without bail and without any. And I remember Gary also had a situation at the Ioko. His client was being held, all of these things. And so when someone like that, together with us, was leading the charge
and he appreciates
the impunity, I don't expect that when he
and you see, so far, you see, in terms of substance, you see, nobody has said that when they went there, their rights were violated.
All right.
At least if that is, then it provides a substantive basis to question his conduct or professionalism.
Right.
At this point, no such. Initially, Senior, just maybe just 30 seconds on this. I was even saying that, the manner in which the public had cast Frimpong Boateng, possibly he should be looked more as a person of interest, more than a suspect. Because then he provides a certain information for you. But you see, Immediately you arrest somebody, you tell the person that you have the right to remain silent. The right to remain silent may also be a conduit to withhold valuable information if the person is treated more differently. But at this point, I do not even know the case strategy for the SP. He may be looking at the case more differently as an investigator than me, a public commentator on this issue, a legal commentator.
Right.
So it put the matters in different perspectives.
Right.
And I want to give it the benefit of the doubt.
All right. On this platform, Eduji, who is lawyer and a very good one at that, and leading the NDC's charge in many of the cases that it's involving, has said something that is contrary to what some of the parties, big people have been saying, to suggest that the OSP was doing anything wrong. He doesn't see that the OSP is doing anything wrong. So maybe you will need to contact some of those of your officers to tell them that they should be
maybe my posturing towards the comment is also informed by the fact that, you see, persons I interact with clients, some whatever, your posturing towards said people, and the person I even went there is an NDC parliamentary person that I went there with.
Okay.
If the office could have taken a more antagonistic posturing against the person, but in this case, they give us, and by the time we're done with the investigation, it was clear to them that they were wrong. It was clear to them.
Thank you. Yes, Kofi Bento, the development that have gone on and how many Ghanaians have been very unhappy about the treatment of Professor Frimpong Boateng. What do you say?
First, I said, let me commend Lawyer Kisei Jabin, who taught us all criminal law. I was a bit worried when I got to hear that he was coming on air because I felt, does he have to, given the gravity of his work and the complexity thereof. But let me say first that he has been extremely convincing this morning. And I can say, based on other things that I'm hearing already, that many people who thought otherwise have had a bit of a change of mind, not based on just his eloquence, but the fact that the genuineness of his convictions seem to percolate through what he's saying. So
I have many messages here to that effect.
Yeah, so he has been extremely convincing, and to that effect, I think that is useful. But he has to also appreciate something, which I think he appreciates, that he needs to win trust over time. Now, this morning's appearance has cleared a lot of the short-term doubt that people had about his intentions regarding Professor Frimpong Boateng. But time tells everything. And my humble suggestion to him is that he must win trust over time. Justice must be done and must be seen to be done. That happens over time. In many short-term, analysis, people get things wrong. I remember very clearly when Mr. Domelevo was appointed. Those of us who were fighting that office, Occupy Ghana Times those days, we were very, very, very upset because we thought this was a Trojan horse that the Mahama government was putting in place. That was the short-term view of things. Over the long term, we were the people fighting for him.
That's right.
So I want Lawyer Kisei Jabin to appreciate that he's done a very good job, but he still has time to deal with. And if this kind of, conviction, this kind of honesty goes through, I believe he will win our hearts. We have so far failed from the presidency down to every level, including the Attorney General's office, to fight corruption. We failed. And that is why we fought for his office to come in. He has taken it on. And indeed, in the short-term analysis, we thought he was going off, but he has come back on track. We are praying for him that he succeeds. He is maybe one of the last bulwarks that we have. And so, again, he should keep in mind that whatever happens over the period, he needs to win people over time.
Kofi,
and then again,
Kofi, remember that he has served you notice that regardless of your reputation, if you got into trouble, don't think about self-recognizance for yourself, sir.
I'll bring an application to that effect.
I disagree with him on that. I disagree with him on that. Look, let me explain why. The imposition, bail itself imposes a burden on the institution. So, for instance, when you grant the person bail, you have to go and check the surety's house and this and that, and it takes the whole day. So bail itself imposes some kind of burden on the institution. That is number one. Number two, and this is very important to me, heroes are heroes not because people love them to be heroes. It's because by their own actions and their track record, they have proven themselves to be the better of our people. Nobody can argue about the fact that Dr. Frimpong Boateng is a hero in this country. He has literally saved lives. Now, I agree with Lakisi Jabin that he must not consecrate saints, but he must also appreciate that a country that does not honor its heroes is not worth dying for. That is one. Number two, if even Professor Frimpong Boateng breaches his bail, it is not the bail that is going to bring him back. It is his self-recognizance that will bring him back. Whether he stays in this country or runs away, it is who he is and the fact that he will be recognized, whether he is here or elsewhere, that will get him arrested and brought back. So indeed, the bail, the 2 million bail, is of no real effect.
But there must be somebody who should be held to account if we can't find him.
I hear you on that, but Samson, the reason why we have self-recognizance bail is because the person's self-recognizance is stronger than anything. There are times when people have breached bail. There's a story I know, and the person came and just paid the money, and they couldn't recover the person. My point is that now here is a person who clearly, has in the past shown himself to be the better of our people, and I think he deserves some recognition for that. So on that, I think, especially also because bail imposes burden on the institution, the special prosecutor should, where it is necessary, give people the self-recognizance bail. It doesn't really do anything, it really facilitates your work.
Yeah.
Then again,
he says he will evaluate the circumstance, and if he has to, it will be done. But for this Galamsey investigation, nobody has been given self-recognizance so far, and nobody will get self-recognizance.
Yes, indeed. He did not cancel it outright.
That's right.
Because of time. Okay. He said he will do it when it's necessary. What I want to say is that we need to respect our heroes, not because of today, because of what they've done all these years. And if anybody is deserving of that, it's Professor Frimpong Boateng.
Right.
But he also made a point which is important. And again, he said, do we really want to fight corruption? And that is also important because, look, in Ghana, you and I, we know this thing. We want to do something, but people react all of a sudden when they see things. I always tell people that people who love barbecue, who love eating meat, many of them will not survive a day working in an abattoir. You like your meat when it's cut and nice, but if you see the process by which cattle is slaughtered, the blood, their entrails, you won't survive. So if we want to fight corruption, we must understand that the making of that sausage can be messy. And to that effect, I am grateful that somebody like Kisi Jabeng is sitting where he's sitting. So we must give him a lot of benefit of the doubt. And that is why it's important when he made the point that, but for Dr. Frimpong Boateng coming out himself to make the point that he has been arrested, nobody would have known about this. So indeed, I think this morning has been extremely important.
What do you say about his response to the accusation and the suspicion that because of his friendship and close friendship with Gabia Sariochire Dako, it's not difficult to suggest that this is the government's grand agenda and using the special prosecutor as a tool to embarrass the professor by prosecuting him?
Let's speak the truth about that. It is not difficult to make that conjecture. It is not. And again, but for this morning, if you put everything together, it looked like they were going after the professor. So I said this one was very useful. Now, but again, it falls to, like you say, Jabing, to throw that, suggestion of over time, all right? Because we can't wish it away. And we've seen a lot of it happen across our history. So it is not far-fetched for people to think that he is under influence or has been influenced. But those of us who know, like he said, Jabin, know that, like he said, it will be difficult for you to influence a person like him. And I trust him. So I will not say the people who are making those conjectures are just talking anyhow. But I say it lies on him. And so far, I think so good, especially with what is explained this morning.
Right. There are those who have asked the question. There are those who have asked the question that if in fact, indeed they have remained friends, he has kept his close friendship with the president's cousin up to this point. How come his office has suffered over the long period and over almost 2 years or so they were not being paid, and so on and so forth?
Yes, people overstate and overestimate the influences that people have in some of these things. And when you look at some of the points that you've made, it makes nonsense of those situations. And again, it comes down to the fact that it is not fair for people to come to those conclusions. We have to make sure that we defend officers like that. Like I'm saying, like him or hate him, and I do respect him a lot. We need to give him every room to succeed because everything else has failed. And look, it was said in a judgment some time back that if we were to look at connections in this country, relationships, intermarriages, nobody will be able to do anything in this country.
That's
it's a
right.
very, So we need to pray that people like Isejabel continue to keep the path and do their work to the best of their ability, and they deserve our every support.
Right. We'll take a break here. When we return, we go to Asin North. The EC has some questions to answer from the NDC, but was it a false alarm suggesting that the EC was up to some fraud in the process? We'll be right back. You're welcome back. This is Newsfile, it's your most authoritative news analysis platform, and here on Newsfile, as always, we put Ghana first. And I've seen that the messages are plentiful, but what we will do and plead with you is to allow us to try to look at the other issue that we have tabled to canvass for you, that is in respect of the Asin North by-election that has become necessary because of the Supreme Court's ruling that has declared the MP as his election as null and void, and that he was not qualified because he owed allegiance to a country other than Ghana at the time of his nomination, not at the time of his election. At the time of election, he had received this renunciation certificate from Canada, and so he didn't have a dual citizen problem. But at the time of the nomination, he didn't have a certificate confirming that he had renounced. Therefore, he was not qualified. My guest still here with me, Gary Nimakomafo, Director, Legal Affairs, New Patriotic Party. Godwin Eduji Temeklo is Legal and Communications Team Member of the National Democratic Congress. On the phone, on Zoom, is Kofi Bentil, Lawyer and Senior Vice President, Imani Africa. We are joined also by Dr. Srebo Kwako, Director, Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission. I begin with Eduji Temeklo. So when the complaint was first made, we heard it from Sami Jemfi, and the Electoral Commission reacted to it. First of all, do you think that this was well thought through before the suggestion was made that one of the candidates in the primaries for the NPP to contest the elections, and that person actually won in the end, his votes were being transferred from one other constituency to that constituency, and that was some fraud that was going on?
So you premised the question by asking whether it was well thought through. Yes, it is. It was well thought through. If you look at the release from my learned friend, our National Communication Officer, Sami Jemfi, he premised the conversation on Regulation 22 of CI 127. Now, CI 127 is the law that governs the conduct of either presidential or parliamentary election, the actual conduct. Now, a careful reading of Regulation 22 of CI 47 clearly...
No, you are not in court. Say CI 47.
CI 127, sorry, 127.
That's okay, it's expected.
Yes, it's expected. You know, I used the 47 more. CI 127. And in 127, Regulation 22, if you come to sub-regulation 4, it says that an application under sub-regulation 1 shall be set out in Form 3 of the schedule and shall be made, A, no less than 42 days before the last day of nomination to the constituency where the applicant resides and where the application relates to a nomination. Or then it goes no less than 42 days before the election day to the constituency where the applicant resides and where the applicant relates to voting. Two different scenarios. So the National Communication Officer of the NDC has said, look, the information available to us at that time, right, was that there was an attempt to cause to be transferred the votes of the said Charles Sopoku. And what the Electoral Commission, even today, has never disputed is the fact that Charles is a registered voter in Takwa in Swayem. So we said, look, if he's a registered voter in Takwa in Swayem, then this is what your own regulation 22, 1, 2, and 3 says. So he needs 42 days in order to do that. But we know that we are in a by-election, and the by-election is later for 27th. So as far as regulation 22 and its requirements are concerned, you cannot do a transfer. That was the point we made. Nothing more.
But the suggestion,
yes,
if we are once again being faithful to, to your text, the suggestion was that this Charles Sopoku guy was not qualified, and that if his votes was not transferred to this constituency, he could not be qualified to contest elections there.
Okay.
That was the impression. And that he was being sort of, a fraud was going to happen so that he will qualify to stand for elections there.
No, because as far as we're concerned, Regulation 22 is clear that to do the transfer, you need to apply. The application, you need to do that once a nomination is concerned within 42 days. Right. And from the computation or reckoning of time, there's no way you can meet that 42 days requirement. And so we put it out. The Electoral Commission now comes in and says, yes, we recognize the import of Regulation 22, but except to say that, your candidate in the Kumewu by-election was also not a registered voter, but we allowed him. But we said, if that is the state of the law, it is either you are willing to comply or the law provides an exception and that you are operating. Then they raise the conversation that, look, they are dealing with Article 94, requirements on eligibility. And so their focus is on 94. In any case, CI 127 is subsidiary. We believe that the electoral laws of this country are not only limited to the Constitution. The CI, the acts, are to freshen it up. So at this point, if there are real legal matters to be addressed, deal with it. But when you want to set your own question and say, look, in any case, in Same's commentary, he never raised the issue of Article 94.
Okay.
For you to suggest that he said the limitations provided in 94 are close-end. Okay. No.
So Gary, from where you sit, of course, the NPP was also accused that you are trying to do something wrong there. From where you sit, was this an unnecessary and what the EC calls a baseless, thing that the NDC had to do?
So, you know how my brother Tamaklo was sweating when you put the question to him. And anytime he's sweating, because of my closeness to him and me knowing his fidelity to the law, I know that he's sweating.
How can you say that? I'm very cool.
Trust me, this comment or this statement was needless. It was unwarranted. It was baseless. It has no force of law. It was very, very empty. In the first place, there was no request for transfer. You see, if you are putting a request for transfer, they can kick in Regulation 22 as you are alluding to. There was no request for transfer from Takwa Swayem to Asenov. That is the first point. So that regulation falls flat on its face. Number two, the Constitution, Article 94, 1A. And the 1A, because I was saying that he was sweating, because 1A is Tabaklow's most lovely article in the Constitution.
Yeah.
Because of ex parte Zenato Admiral case.
He used that to rescue Zenato.
Yes, yes. At the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
You see,
and you were involved. The two of you did.
He was the plaintiff's lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
When the thing is when he's hot, and then the next day he's happy. That one day you're happy.
I don't understand you.
Okay, so say no.
Please go ahead and make your comments.
1A is very clear. A citizen of Ghana, registered voter, 21 years of age, 3 criteria. It doesn't say that you have to be a registered voter in a particular constituency of Ghana.
But the CI.
No, wait. Let me break it down.
Okay.
Registered voter, citizen of Ghana, 21 years. 3 main criteria. And then additional criteria if, for instance, you hail from there, or you live there, or 5 years out of 10 years preceding the elections, that one too is additional criteria. The CI, which the EC does, Person 51, is only to give the EC the power to give an elaborate regulations to do the elections. Now, the EC cannot and has not, and these are the words, the EC has not and they cannot make regulations that will go and above the constitution. Sorry, the Constitution, 94. So the EC has not going to put regulations to say that, you must be a citizen of Ghana, registered voter in a particular constituency or the 21 years old. It hasn't done that. So this whole thing was a brouhaha for nothing. For nothing. The whole thing that is that they wanted their voice to be heard. And the point is very clear. What they brought out there, to me, it was better do about nothing. There's no request for transfer. The gentleman is qualified, he's eligible, as long
whether
as
or not his vote is transferred.
That is all. The only caveat, if he doesn't transfer before the actual elections, he can't vote for himself.
That's right.
But he's a citizen of Ghana, registered voter.
But Senior, you see the scenario.
Registered voter, 21 years of age. He hails from there, he lives there, whatever it is, he is qualified, he's eligible. There's no constitutional requirement that says that you must be a registered voter in the constituency to enable you qualify or make you eligible.
No, but you see,
so hold on briefly, and let me go to Dr. Sribokweku. Doc, thank you very much for making time to join us. And you issued your reaction, and some people in the public have not been happy at all with you for certain, words that you use and expressions that you use in your reaction. But let's get to the substance. The substance is that there was no application whatsoever to you, the Electoral Commission, to transfer anybody's vote from one place to the other. And if that was made, you couldn't do it because the timelines did not favor such an application, correct?
Correct. So, something.
Yes.
Good morning in regards to your colleague on the platform. But first, I have to charge you for not listening for me for a long time.
I'll do so. Please forgive me. I'll do so.
But I think that there are 3 issues that I want to raise that came from some gentle's letter. The first one is that there's an application for us to request transfer. And I don't know whether Sami has it. But as of now, the Electoral Commission has not received any application for transfer. So that point is moot. The second point is that the candidate is not qualified and we want to do the transfer for him to qualify. And if you look at Article 91 and all the laws, the CI, whatever, there's nothing in the law that says that the person should be a registered voter in the constituency. That's why we even gave example of they themselves submitting a candidate for the Kumawu election, which was just about 2 weeks ago, and the person too was not a registered voter. So that's another issue which is also not in for discussion because there's no agreement about that one. So if we put the two together, then the accusation that we were colluding with the NPP to file an unqualified candidate is also not an issue. So unless maybe it's a different political interpretation, but I really believe that this is a simple English that when we read it, that's the way we do it. And I also want to put on record that since 1992, we have had more than 30 by-elections. We have never transferred any voter for by-election. So the record the president will also tell you that it's something that has not been done before. So I don't know why it become an argument. So Electoral Commission has not done anything wrong. Electoral Commission that does not intend to do anything wrong, and Electoral Commission will continue to uphold the Constitution and the laws of Ghana to do our work. That is exactly what we are trying to put across.
But they seem to point out a substantive issue as far as your regulations are concerned, and it will appear that the regulations and what you require are inconsistent with the provision of the Constitution that you are now referring to and telling the whole world that you don't actually need to be a voter in the constituency to be able to stand for elections there.
Yeah, something. If the CID are referring to, we have process on transfer. And you and I will know that every voter will want to vote for himself or herself. So there's a clause that allows you to transfer your vote so that you can vote for yourself if one you are filing nomination. And there's a clause that allows people to also transfer their vote so they can vote for candidates of their choice. So the laws there are only facilitating the possibility of a candidate voting for himself, but not for contesting. So that we don't see any conflict between the CI and the Constitution. In any case, even if there was to be a conflict, the supremacy of the Constitution will prevail. But it is there. That's what I'm saying, that since 1992, we have never effected any transfer for a nomination for by-elections or even to vote. So why are we also not saying that people should also be given opportunity to transfer so they can vote for the by-election? Because of the clause of 42 days. It used to be 30 days. It's now 42 days. So there's nothing wrong with the Constitution. There's nothing wrong with the CI 127. So that is the stand of the Commission.
All right.
And we don't intend taking sides in any election. We are professionals and we abide by the laws of Ghana.
Right. Now, very quickly, what do you say to those who say you could have denied the allegation without using certain expressions like it's a figment of the imagination of the National Communication Officer, among others? What do you say to those?
I don't know whether you have read the first and the second allegations by my younger brother Samson. So we more or less, it's one way that we were taking for you. We are just trying to say that those words and the rest, they don't come into play when we are speaking to the fact. So I don't think we're only using them to explain that those words that you use are needless.
Okay, but so those who take an exception to that, what do you say? That you mention him specific, that's fine, but you say that he has to exercise some maturity and decorum, and deal with truth in discussions, among other things. And you don't mention him alone, but his party as well, that they are up to their usual stuff.
Something, you see, I have always never been comfortable with situation where when the party is in power, he's in bed with the Electoral Commission. When the party goes out of power, they become antagonistic to the Commission. I think it's high time we do away with that. If the Electoral Commission is doing something which is not good, nobody says that it should not be said. We should come out and we all say that this one is wrong. We all agree to that. But whenever a party goes into position, the Electoral Commission is a criminal institution. I think we should stop those things and emphasize on what the laws are saying. If an inequality is being perpetuated, we fight that instead of always...
With the benefit of time, we know that it happens all the time. Like, as it is now, the NPP is in power, and some of our friends in the NPP, because you are in government, you deal with the matter. So we have to criticize the things that government is doing. And then they will take it on your person. They say, oh, Samson is doing this, he doesn't like us. Well, I don't have to like you. Now, wait. The other group may be happy about everything you are doing because it is about government you are criticizing. Just wait if the tables turn. Then it turns the other way around. The NDC, if they are in power, they don't want you to say certain things. They don't want you to do certain things. But what is being said is that you are a public office. So you should live above and rise above replying them, in same measure if you feel that they have said certain things which they don't have to say. You don't agree with the benefit of time. You don't agree that you could have said what you said a lot better.
That is the position of the commission, that we were just giving back his own words to me. We don't mean to insult him, but he said that those words that were being used are needless.
Okay.
Just to also to establish that you have not committed any crime. Something is also, I agree with what you are saying, that when they are in opposition, they criticize everything, but this is the right thing to do that. If you are in democracy, it does not mean that you should not be preaching the party. Truth is always the truth. No matter how you start to twist it, it can never be the truth. So
Right.
when you are also in the position, a lot of people will give you information. People will want to be seen that they are working for you and give you information. Like one of my neighbors said that Sammy was giving wrong. But the report he was giving was completely wrong. So when you have said something and you have come out to explain, it's the better you agree that maybe I was giving the wrong information.
Thank you. Let me see if I can get just a minute of your response to this. The Youth Bridge Foundation, is that their name? Yes, the Youth Bridge Foundation. They issued a press statement and said you have been doing something that is wrong. You go on by-elections and you don't take time to mop up people who have turned 18 since 2020 and are qualified to register to vote. You don't make provision for them to register so they can participate in the elections. What do you say about that? They issued a statement, they say you should do that.
There's no way you can do mop up for by-election because the law does not allow them. The law is clear that if you want to participate in an election, you should have registered for less than 60 days. Not less than 50 days. So by-elections are just 30 days. If you are registered, you can be part of the election. So you cannot be registered for by-election.
Really?
Yes, the law says that once.
But you are supposed to be doing continuous registration. So they must be giving the opportunity to register so they can participate. That's what they are saying.
Yes, and we know we have put in place mechanism to do that. So immediately the CR is passed, we go out to continuous registration.
Yeah, they haven't started that one.
All right. Thank you very much. Dr. Sribo Kweku is Director of Elections at the Electoral Commission. And let's get Kofi Bento in some 2 minutes, what he will have to say about this banter that has come up and the way the Electoral Commission has had to respond to it. Yes, Kofi. Hello, Kofi Bento.
You made your last handle. DC,
hello, Kofi. Yes, Kofi, let's hear you.
Good. I made my notes before you made your last point, and I was going to take a different turn to all of this. These issues of transfer, mopping up, and continuous registration, etc., will never be solved by the EC. Because over our interaction as Imani with the EC has seen it as a loss of their power. It will be solved by the National Identification System. And we are long away from where it is possible. Now, if we are using the national ID as is effectively our identification for the purpose of election, and it takes just a little tweak to have that done, then you can actually go and transfer your vote from one place to the other, and over the period of 6 weeks or 3 weeks or 1 month, it will be effective. Over that period, it can be reviewed and made effective. That way, we don't have all this problem of mopping up, transferring votes, continuous registration. Then the EC can focus on actual election. We see that the EC is resistant to this move, which is inevitable. So I say, look, let's not leave it to the EC to do these things. Let's figure out a way to force the EC to accept that the national ID system is a better system for identifying who will be, who is qualified to be, a voter or not. Then on the issue of public officers, I think it's very important. I don't condone people using the wrong language on public officials, but something you are right, we should emphasize that citizens are citizens. Public officials are public officials. You don't have any right to throw back their words at them. If you can't handle public office, leave. But if you're addressing the public, address them with decorum. Our taxes pay you. They should know that.
Thank you, Kofi Bento. And let me share this with you. It's from Nana Ej Bafo, a lawyer for Charles Bissiu, and he says, this is his reaction to the comments that have come up. He says, I never said my client will not report to the OSP simpliciter. Note that I never said my client will not report to the OSP simpliciter as being alleged. Evans Mensah, who interviewed me, asked if my client, being a wanted man, will turn himself in. My response against the backdrop that we were speaking about an order which my client had not been served with was no, he will not turn himself in. I was also quick to add that the order was improperly procured, and so we will take steps to cure that impropriety. It's important. I am not taken out of context and condemned in my absence. Audio Terem Patem, thank you very much. Natural Justice Rule, we have given you that opportunity. As always, my outfit is by Haberos Couture. You can find them at Ajiringano Gates. You can call them on 0200 84 1988. Thank you all very much. And thank you to my guests.
We didn't get last bite.
Thank you to my guests.
No, I think we felt that even for our learned friend, we wanted him to know that we're just concerned.
Right.
That these comments were made.